Boer prophet Siener van Rensburg, Visions as recorded by Anna Badenhorst. Introduction. After their release from prison, C.P. Nieuwenhuisen and Siener van Rensburg parted ways, and Siener then needed someone new to record his visions. Anna Sophia Badenhorst, the daughter of Nicolaas Janse van Rensburg, wrote down the visions of Siener van Rensburg from 15 August 1916 until January of 1926, recording almost 400 visions. The original visions written down by Anna were in an early form of Afrikaans, referred to as Hollands Afrikaans. Afrikaans as a language was very new, and many words were still in formation, which resulted in some spelling and syntax problems. Anna later did rewrite many of the visions in newer form Afrikaans. All the visions were originally recorded in school exercise books, and the final manuscripts, which were given to the Lichtenberg Museum for safekeeping, were a bit disorganized and the books had become very dilapidated. Handwritten copies were also made for persons who were interested in the visions of Siener. According to Boer Moesman, a very close friend of Siener, he was also handed a full handwritten manuscript by Anna Badenhorst after the death of Siener in 1926, with the request that it be published. According to Boer Moesman, Anna did not want any compensation, financial or otherwise, but she did request that a small monument be erected in memory of the Siener, should there be any money available. The visions were almost lost. For several years, various arguments in the family of Siener ensued, with the son of Siener, Cully, refusing permission for the manuscript to be published. On 18 April 1939, G.H.M. Coetzee of the town Dolstrom wrote a letter to Boer Moesman in which he declared that he owns the copyright to all the visions by Siener van Rensburg, as it had been handed to him by the family. Coetzee declared that he was working with the family to publicize a full copy of the visions of Siener van Rensburg. As far as can be determined, no book was ever published by Coetzee or the family. During the years following the death of Siener van Rensburg, several other individuals managed to obtain copies of the manuscript, often copied by hand. Interpretation of the visions. Boer Moesman had his own handwritten manuscript in which he had done interpretations of the visions of Siener. It is generally accepted that Boer Moesman knew Siener the best and knew what the various symbols meant, and thus he did the best interpretations. Boer Moesman also taught his daughter, Nelly van Zyl, what every symbol meant, and she could also interpret many of the visions. Other persons also learned to do interpretations by studying the visions and learning the meaning of the symbols, such as H.J. Wessels and H.J. Dreyer, W.A. Rousseau, and Adrian Snyman of Mossel Bay. In the following series of videos, the name of the person who did the interpretation will be mentioned. Please note that I do not do any interpretations myself. Voice of the Prophet. In later years, Adrian Snyman published the visions in his original Afrikaans book, Stem van die Profeet, which was later translated into an English version called Voice of the Prophet. It must be remembered that it is generally accepted by those who have done deep research into Siener van Rensburg that Adrian Snyman purposefully misinterpreted or extended or even completely recreated visions and interpretations, and is thus considered as a tertiary, unreliable source of interpretations. Note that I'm not saying all that Adrian Snyman interpreted is false, but one should compare his interpretation to others who are perhaps more trusted, Boer or Afrikaner. I often get messages from people stating that Afrikaners are considered traitors, and that to be a true patriot of South Africa, one needs to identify as a Boer. This may be true now in 2022, but during the lifetime of Siener, there was no difference. When Siener was alive, the only identification of groups was the Sapper or Nutter. The Nutter were the National Party supporters, or those considered more conservative, while the Sapper were the South African Party supporters, or those considered liberal. During the handover of power to the ANC government in 1994, many of the NP government supporters considered the party to have committed treason, and many broke away, and in the process began calling themselves Boer, and considered the name Afrikaner as those who supported the treason. It should therefore also be understood that when Siener, or those interpreting the visions, refer to Afrikaner as a people, then they are referring to the understanding of Afrikaner prior to 1994. If you have not watched any of the previous vision videos as recorded by C.P. Nevenhuisen, please consider watching them, even though most were fulfilled and are more relevant to the history of the Afrikaner people during Siener's lifetime. These first visions provide one with a good base to understand how the visions work, as cryptic as they are. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section, and I will try to get around to answer them where possible. These videos are done in my free time, and I'm not sponsored or paid to do these, so it takes some time between videos. So I do ask you to be patient. Do subscribe and click the notification bell so that you can be informed when videos are uploaded. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.